Hi, everyone. Just stopping by to make a little recording to say hi, let you know that I'm still around. Haven't been making a lot of YouTube videos lately, but I have been making some really good podcasts. When podcasts started to become popular, I kind of thought, no big deal. But they really have become popular. And I think it's working to my advantage because, for example, the station that I'm on in San Francisco, the radio station that I'm on, has makes my programs into podcasts. And when you go to Google and you look for Shedding Shackles, that's the name of my program, Shedding Shackles. When you go look for Shedding Shackles, it's right at the top often. You could probably look for Roland Trujillo Shedding Shackles. It'll be about the same thing. So anyway, you go look for Shedding Shackles or look for Roland Trujillo or look for both and podcasts because because they not only go on Apple, but they go on Spotify and Audacity and SoundCloud and Apple Podcast. They go on everywhere. And they're very good. I devote a lot of time to making them. I make sure there's good spiritual content, and we have nice music. My son plays the piano. Very, very nice. We have Gershwin, Chopin. Who else do we have? Granados, Albeniz, Scott Joplin. Oh, Irving Berlin, Mozart. You name it. If it's classy, jazz, or classical music, we have it as bumper music. So you really ought to check out my podcast because if you like these YouTube videos, some of you do, then you really should listen to the podcast because I devote a lot of time, put a lot in them. All right. Now, today I want to share one thing with you, just one thing. And it's from Francis de Sales, or Saint Francis de Sales. I hope you don't mind the pronunciation. When I was in high school, do you have a moment? Do you remember Joan Rivers? She was so funny. She used to say, "Can we talk?" Well, can we talk? When I was in high school, when I was in junior high school, we called it junior high school or middle school. I wasn't doing very good hanging around with the wrong crowd. My parents didn't like it. So they sent me to a Catholic high school. That's right. Even though I'm not a Catholic. They sent me to a Catholic high school, parochial high school, we called it. Why? Because they wanted to straighten me out. Or they figured the priests would straighten me out. In those days, just about all the teachers were priests. There were some lay teachers, mostly priests, some brothers. So anyway, it worked. I was scared. But I was so scared, I started to study hard. And I studied so hard, I started to do well. And I did so well that I was at the top of the honor roll and all that kind of stuff. So it was good for me. But anyway, these were the order was called the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales. That's how they pronounced it. So that's the way I'm going to pronounce it. But anyway, St. Francis de Sales, I think, of course, I don't know for sure, but based on what I said, but I'm very perceptive. It takes, I can sense when somebody understands and when they don't, and he gets it. So to my thinking, Francis de Sales is on the same page with Madame Guyon, with François Fénelon. with Brother Lawrence, with people like that. W or AB, I can't never remember. A.W. Tozer, those types. But especially Madame Guyon and Francois Penelon, he's with them. Beautiful. So I want to share with you one thing, a quotation. He said, "Do all things for God, uniting yourself to Him by a mere upward glance." So let me say it again. He said, "Do all things for God, uniting yourself to Him by a mere upward glance, or by the overflowing of your heart towards Him. Uniting yourself to Him by a mere upward glance." It's so beautiful. You see, there's great wisdom, there's great spirituality in it. There's something about, you often hear of Christ lifting up His eyes. You see pictures or, paintings of saints lifting up their eyes. I recently had a program, and it was a man from Texas called in. Nate from Texas called in, and he said, "How do I raise my problems?" Or no, he said, "How can I raise my problems to God and not have to worry so much?" But do you see? The answer is right there. How do I raise my problems to God? See, you can raise your problems to God by a mere upward glance, and it immediately takes you out of worry. Immediately, it's like you're silently, wordlessly asking Him, inquiring of Him, raising it to Him, and it takes you out of worry, which is the same thing that my little meditation does, or my sitting quietly exercise. Oh, can we talk? Since I'm here, I might as well put some good stuff in here because I'm not making very many of these. I'm getting older. I should make more because the day will come when I'll be so old and so awful looking that visual, what would you call them? The visuals would not be any good anymore. All right, then I'll just I'll put up my college picture and audio. How's that? But anyway, so what was I going to tell you? I was going to tell you something. Oh, yes. You all know that I have a meditation, which you should be using incidentally. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. You get too lost in your thought. You get pulled into everything. See, now there are so much out there that you cannot, only by the grace of God could you possibly not get pulled into everything, including study, including religious study. You could be reading a spiritual writer and get lost in the words, lost in the thoughts, lost in the images, get so lost in it that you lose touch with the spiritual, you lose touch with God. So you need to be able to stand back. So yeah, we don't want to blank thoughts. We don't want to get rid of all distractions. We don't want to stop reading, stop studying, stop thinking. We don't want to do any of that. We want to just be a normal, regular person doing everything, but not lost in it. Take a mental step back. All right. So anyway, to make a long story short, I made something new. It's called sitting quiet. And it is my meditation, but it's just repackaged a little bit. So I emphasize hand warming. You all know hand warming, biofeedback. You've all studied that in your work setting where they talk about reducing stress and everything. So you know about hand warming. It's just a little biofeedback. You if you pay attention to your hands, then they start to tingle a little bit, get a little bit warm. So that's all it is. But I make it so simple. See, I don't add visualizations. Remember, we don't want to get lost in images or words or anything. We get lost in images, don't we? So if you start imagining, see, if you do your little biofeedback and then you add a little bit of mental imagery, what do they call that? Oh, I can't think of it. I can't think of the term for it, but you know what I mean. Where you imagine yourself on a lake with a swan in there and no, don't do that. Don't do it. I know everybody else has to do it, so if they want to do it, go ahead. But I'm just saying between you and me, don't do it. Just do the simple little exercise of warming your hands. That's all. And you can even do it when you're walking down the street. You could be walking somewhere in the park and enjoying the things that you see, and at the same time, be aware of your hands. There's great spiritual wisdom in it. And I keep mine simple. There's nothing added that will ruin it. So I'm going to make an end to this thing. I don't want to go on too long. You got the idea. Podcast. Oh, yes, Sitting Quietly America. So where can you find it? At my website, sheddingshackles.com. Sheddingshackles.com. And I also made a special little website. It's very simple. And it's for people who would be turned off by by any religious talk whatsoever. See, a lot of people, they've been burned or terribly disappointed, or they've been pressured by someone who claims to be a Christian. They're basically a Christians in name only. You know how they are. They come in and they think they're very clever. They say, "Oh, how you doing? Oh, we got something in common. We both like bowling." And, but it's just that all they're trying to do is get you involved with them. And then they can try to convert you. And they get brownie points for converting you, Okay? So a lot of people, they've been burned, they've been fooled, they've been tricked, they've been pressured. And so they can't stand anything religious. They just can't stand it. Don't want to hear it. Fine. So you know me, I never pressure anybody. I don't belong to any particular religion. I don't have an organization. I don't have a church you could belong to. It's just me and my microphone. That's all. And I buy the airtime on the stations. I work to earn money, and then I use the money to buy airtime to bring the message. I know it's hard to believe that somebody could be doing something good. Well, for no other reason than just to do something good. I know it's hard to believe. But, it was good for me, so I'm just giving back. That's all. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So for people who can't bear any kind of religious talk, I made this website. It's called sittingquietlyamerica.com. Sittingquietlyamerica.com. Sitting Quietly America. You go there, and what do you see? You see a little place you can click on it and hear the Sitting Quietly exercise. And there's a little YouTube video of the Sitting Quietly exercise. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing. Nowhere you can call. Nothing. Nothing you can buy. No other material, free material you can get. Nothing. Just that. So it's perfect for if you have a friend, for example, or a colleague or a coworker, and they're all stressed out, and you can see they're really a good person. They're just they don't know how to manage their emotions. This could be just what they need. Okay, So now I'm going to make an end to this recording. Thanks for listening and watching. And ponder what St. Francis de Sales said. Unite yourself to God by a mere upward glance.